Hi, everybody. Welcome to the February 16th, 2018 edition of Colorado Inside Out Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's get a quick take on State Senator Randy Baumgardner announcing this week that he will not resign from the Senate seat, or his Senate seat, despite a sexual misconduct investigation finding incidents, quote, more likely than not to have occurred, end quote. Senator Baumgardner did step down from his position as chair of the Transportation Committee and has been asked by Senate President Kevin Grantham to attend sensitivity training by mid-March. Patty Calhoun from Westward. I realize not every case that we've heard about sexual harassment at the state capitol is the same, and that there has to be some sort of process to go forward. But not resigning, but not keeping the leadership position for the Transportation Committee and going to sensitivity training, how did this sound as a solution to you?
Well, let's remember that more likely than not to have occurred is not a legal standard in a court of law. And this man has not been accused of an actual crime that could be something that could be prosecuted. So even though I'm not a big fan of his mustache and I'm not a big fan of his politics, he has a right to not resign, and the voters have an absolute right to vote him out next time. So, and if the Senate really wants him to go, they do have a procedure that hasn't been used in, 80 years, 100 years to get rid of people. But there is something beyond the court of public opinion here.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. An appropriate summation to what we've heard, at least from the outside, about the Baumgardner situation at the Senate.
Yeah, and of course nobody really, or very few people know the facts. There was this outside company that did a report, but the Senate leadership says the report has lots of inaccuracies and incorrect things in it, but haven't seen the report, haven't seen their list of what they think is wrong with it. So, who knows? As Patty said, there is a procedure besides the next election. Article 5, Section 12 of our state constitution says each house has the power to punish its members for disorderly behavior in its presence and with the concurrence of 2/3 to expel a member. So if people think that he shouldn't be in there, they can introduce an expulsion resolution and see what happens.
Eric Sonnen, political analyst, when you look at the optics of the situation, so beyond process and this kind of thing, does it feel like, at least on this side of things, that this case was handled and resolved and can move forward? Where, I guess, in opposition to this, you have cases, a situation rather, and the Democratic side of in the House that is far from over and far from resolved. What do you think about what we've heard so far?
I think there is a difference. I think the difference has something to do with numbers. I'll get to it. I mean, I have a particular interest in this one, in that Randy Baumgardner is my state senator. I'm a part-time resident these days of Grand County, registered to vote there at this point. And so he represents that area. There is no next election for Randy Baumgardner. He is term limited in 2020. So the issue is, does he serve out the last 3 years of his term? To David's point, he's right. We don't know what the real score is here. It's all sort of being hidden. I think there has to be, no matter what the gradations of offenses are, there has to be, when a charge like this is made, I think there has to be some kind of public transparency and accountability, which is lacking in the Senate process. And then Baumgardner should obviously be entitled to his word as well. But this thing is all being so hidden that no one really knows what the true score is. There's now a second charge that I think is also perhaps a credible charge that has been made against Senator Baumgardner. I think it's an interesting and not terribly defensible course that the Senate leadership has taken, which is to say, well, you can still stay in office and you can still chair this lower level committee, but you can't chair the Transportation Committee. So, okay, so sexual harassment means I don't get to chair a big committee, but I do get to chair a lesser committee, and I do get to continue to serve. I don't know where the logic is there. Real quickly, the difference between the Senate and the House and between Randy Baumgardner and Steve Lebsock is the Democrats have a majority of several seats in the House, so they can sort of put Lebsock off on his own island and still run the House. The Senate's 18-17. They can't put Baumgardner on an island because they need his vote. They need him to continue to be a team player.
Justine Sandoval, political activist. When you saw at least how the Senate handled this particular case, again, I don't want to equate every single case, they all have their own issues, but as you saw how this one was, at the very least, what it looks like right now resolved, what'd you think?
Oh, I have to roll my eyes at this because seriously, you know, as a woman who works in and out of the Capitol, often everybody talks and people know stories, and this type of behavior goes on constantly. It's went on forever at the Capitol. My mother used to work for the governor in the 80s, and she would tell stories all the time of situations in the Capitol of inappropriate behavior by people on both sides of the aisle. And so I just think that, you know, when all the Lebsock stuff came down, the Democrats at least, you know, tried to push within their own party and try to find new solutions. And it seems like they're just kind of sitting on their hands in the Senate with this. Like, when do we draw the line? When do we say that, you know, can you be here if you can't act appropriately and, you know, act how you should and govern the people of Colorado? Then I think we should clean house with a lot of these people, get rid of them on both sides of the aisle. There's no room for that anymore. And I think that right now is for a push for us to really set a new standard for behavior in the state legislature.
That is all the time we have for Colorado Inside Out post game. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.